For some reason, Eloise smiles, but it looks almost melancholic. I've seen those things before, you know, those phantoms. Humans, things, all kinds of scenes in all kinds of time and space. I've seen it all. So what? Those phantoms are nothing more than illusions. Why worry about something that isn't real? So, what exactly is she up to? Cecile doesn't understand Eloise's agenda here. Eloise seems to be looking straight through her. Cecile, you're the only thing that's real, and I'm the only one who's always been there for you. Don't like this. Eloise suddenly looks away and avoids Cecile's eyes, a little embarrassed. Cecile can hear her heartbeat, a clear, constant sound. How many times has that sound guided her through her hallucinations? Cold fear starts closing in on Cecile all of a sudden. When I enter those other worlds, time is an elusive concept. Sometimes I feel as if I've spent centuries there. So, with the incense, the lilac grass, we can spend even more time together. Eloise's voice is barely more than a whisper, and her cheeks turn bright red. Cecile knows exactly what it feels like. Eloise knows it too. Yet, she lied about it to the others. Cecile isn't sure what the true meaning behind Cecile's words is, but they comfort her and give her a sense of relief. Her vision begins to blur again, and there's a familiar ringing in her ears. Something more than warmth is rising up inside of her. Eloise opens her bag and pulls out several sticks of incense. She lines up the sticks on a table in front of them. Hey, wait a minute. You know, I've never been as good as you. I've had countless opportunities to make the art club a better place, but I was never successful. But you're different. The way in which you stay persistent inspires me. I don't think I could ever sit in the same room with people who treat me like that. I envy you so much. How do you do it? What were you like in the past? I've always been curious, and this incense satisfies that curiosity. That's right, Cecile. I've seen your past. Eloise keeps talking about dangerous, unnatural things. Most of all, I see your persistence, but it isn't enough. The small glimpses aren't enough. I want to know more. Even if we see a lot of strange, inexplicable things, short bursts of pain are better than prolonged pain. No matter how long it takes, we should get to know each other better. Cecile desperately tries to open her eyes, but it's futile. Her eyelids are too heavy. Her body has no energy left, and a wave of weariness sweeps over her. In a strange way, it feels comforting. Is this really who Eloise is? Really what she thinks? peculiar. Cecile feels sorry for letting the store manager down, but all she can do is apologize to him later. Then, Cecile's mouth moves of its own accord. With you here, it's not so bad. For a short moment, Eloise's eyes flicker open. She soon regains her composure, although she can't hide her smile. I understand. Thank you, Cecile. Even after this statement, Cecile finds it difficult to meet Eloise's inscrutable gaze. The lilac grass is emitting soft wisps of smoke. They're so faint that you can hardly tell if it's actually burning. However, everything is starting to look very different after inhaling it for just a few minutes. Is it too much? The sweet and aromatic scent has changed into something like the smell of a dense forest after a rainy night, thick enough to make Cecile's head throb. Meanwhile, the faint music in her ears is turning into a strange chant. Cecile doesn't recognize the language, but she knows one thing. Although they sound like voices, they're not coming from this world. Just like images and smells, this is simply a manifestation of the senses. Feeling more weighed down than ever before, Cecile stops resisting and allows her heavy eyes to fall closed. The darkness behind her eyelids is twisting into an endless, intimidating tunnel. Her feet leave the ground and her physical senses dissipate like smoke. Her consciousness leaves her body behind and her perception starts to expand. Suddenly, an altogether different scene manifests before her eyes. The art club is packed with people. There are many familiar faces, but many more that she has never seen before. Eloise is loudly arguing with someone. The whole situation is pretty intense. Cecile doesn't recognize the other girl, but she looks older than Eloise. She's holding a fiery red watercolor painting, her face twisted and angry. Eloise's aura exudes pure anger. Cecile has never seen Eloise this openly emotional and out of control before. The whole scene is very unsettling. Eloise turns to face the other art club members, expecting some kind of reply, but no one responds. Being ignored. The very same situation Cecile finds herself in way too often. Eloise has reached her breaking point. The very last remains of her patience have all but faded away. She grabs the canvas from the other side of the room and runs towards the exit. Oh. This is the backstory. The other girl seems unbelievably offended and storms out of the room, running after Eloise. Eloise! The door opens and everything freezes. And then, hundreds of hallucinations closing in all at once. A flock of white doves takes flight among the desolate ruins of several tall buildings. 8 cheetahs dash through the debris and rubble. Countless figures are lined up, silhouetted against the sunset above the endless sea. Apes are kneeling down in front of a statue in deep devotion and worship. This is Lovecraftian. Silent lightning and a cloud of color dance across the sky. Pink, fleshy pillars of meat rise from the ground, squirming like maggots. Standing on an overcast tower in the far distance, a shadowy figure spreads its arms. Electric bolts come crashing down from above, and countless fragments fall to the ground. Priests in Taoist robes, along with thin, ant-like creatures, are facing large pyramids and bowing to the sun. The visions are all over the place. There's no logic to anything, and no way to tell where and when they're taking place. There are no words, no meaning for this. It's like a glimpse into a realm unknown to humans. Something so far removed from our own understanding of the world, the mind has no way of coping with it. Scarlet is there with Eloise now, but the images are fading in and out of focus, like the waves breaking on the beach that's giving me eye strain, only to retreat back into the ocean soon after. Oh, this one's even worse. Suddenly, everything is green. Strong ferns spread across the valley, a completely different scene. A bed of leaves is spread across the ground. Giant creatures, covered in feathers and scales, slowly stride past on elongated legs. Every so often they emit deep, muffled hums. Dinosaurs? There's no sign that humans ever existed. In the distant darkness, a shooting star crosses the sky. Cecile doesn't turn around fast enough to see it properly. It's no big deal. There's no time for regret right now. Even if she wanted to stop, she couldn't. She isn't in control right now. The constant chanting slowly fades away and is replaced by something else. The indescribable spectacle unfolds mercilessly before Cecile's eyes. What did you say was the last thing you saw? I just need Cecile to confirm it again. The answer, probably. She looks out of the window and responds flatly. The look on her face indicates that she understood the question, but that she doesn't know how to phrase the answer properly. I saw many things, all kinds of things. There was nothing solid there, no clear picture. Yet it was everything I could imagine. It was 1,000 miles away, yet still in front of me. There was no aura surrounding it, no color, just existence itself in all its possible forms. Why call it the answer? I don't know. From the first moment I saw it, that's the only word I could find to describe it. Mr. Store Manager, are you familiar with the Mobius loop? It's a very popular concept in a branch of mathematics called topology. It has only one side and one boundary curve. There is actually one without a boundary, called the Klein bottle. It's a non-orientable surface, which can't exist within a three-dimensional world. Looks like my math class wasn't a complete waste of time after all. I don't like this math. What I saw in my hallucination was even more chaotic. It was unreal. I couldn't make out a shape, however long I looked at it. It was something foreign, something that doesn't follow our world's geometric rules. Every part of it was connected to every place that could possibly exist, completely independent of each other. I don't know how to describe it. It's impossible. Lights, rules, shapes, cause and effect. Nothing compares to it, not in this world. Straight lines aren't straight, and ends don't line up with beginnings. It's like a complex web full of meaningful elements, and from any point in it, you can get to where you want to be. The answer, I suppose. I don't quite get why you picked that word to describe it. That wasn't my decision. It was there long before I had ever found out about it. Cecile raises her hands hopelessly, still trying to explain it. It's the beginning and the end. It's all around me and within me at the same time. It's where time was born and where time will be laid to rest. This is very Lovecraftian. Now we're getting into it. I feel like all knowledge is there, the meaning of everything, but even that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like the Taoist concept. Saying it like that would limit it, but yes, kind of. All things are one. Unforgettable experience. I'm reminded of that phrase. It seems like a fitting way to describe this answer. So, you saw this answer, and then something changed. Cecile shakes her head. It left me breathless. That much I know. But in a strange way, it was too confusing to be scary. There's so much that I simply don't understand about it. The thing is, the moment I saw it, I think I became a target. She sounds deeply depressed and can't keep the fear out of her voice. A pair of piercing blue eyes watching me from the sidelines, but because I was focused on everything else, they weren't that conspicuous. Why was I the only one there? When that thought hit me, it had already been staring at me for quite a while. Wherever I looked, its gaze followed me. Every time I glanced at it, my body felt like it was turning to ice. There was a brief moment in which our eyes locked. I saw a reflection in its eyes, and it showed me the end. Everything. Torn, cut, rotten, bloodied, impaled, burned, crushed, drowned, nothing but death. I didn't know what to do, but it seemed like I was going to reach that ending someday. Cecile wraps her arms around herself, and I realize that her whole back is covered in sweat. Mr. Store Manager, it's so horrible. If it catches up with us, it will devour us. That's when everything began falling apart. A blinding light came crashing down, brighter than 1,000 stars exploding. That was what we said, right? That was, how we got her into the hypnosis. One could say that I was submerged in a lake of hallucinations, and something pulled me up. I could feel those eyes on me, following my every move, even with my back turned to them. I still felt their presence as I moved further away. I tried to run, but it was as if the ground itself was slowing me down, like mud. The eyes came closer. I had no choice but to swim upwards, but the panic and fear robbed me of my strength and paralyzed me. I couldn't see clearly anymore. Cecile shudders, and her voice becomes more withdrawn by the second. I pat her on the shoulder. She's covered in cold sweat, shivering, as if she was just pulled from the water. And then, next thing you knew, you were in the bookstore, right? Info acquired, vision of inhuman eyes. She attempts to wipe the cold sweat off of her face and nods. This is all my own fault. Please don't blame Eloise, okay? Truth be told, this doesn't surprise me at all. The lilac grass came from Eloise. I suspected it all along, but this isn't the right moment for a snarky remark. Still, this raises a lot of questions. The patch of red on her arm backs up her story. Without Eloise's quick assessment of the situation, Cecile might still be stuck in that locker. For someone suffering from such severe claustrophobia, it's no laughing matter. I don't think really being put in a locker, locked in a locker, and not knowing when you would escape would be good for anyone. Anyways, the situation in the real world is bad enough for Cecile, and these hallucinations are even more worrying. Where the hell did those eyes come from? What could be haunting a person trapped in such a strange fantasy? Usually, trying to discuss any scenarios that someone experienced under influence of hallucinogenic drugs is pretty ridiculous. It never makes much sense, but Cecile's situation isn't very comparable to that. Since her illusions can be traced back to reality, raised doubts. A thing that went too fast for me to read. We can get the case files to see what it says. Clues. Conclusion. The former misdeeds of the Art Association. During the cheating incident, Eloise got into a heated argument with former President Lily. During the argument, Eloise was inadvertently pushed down the stairs and was seriously injured. An unforgettable experience. After heavy use of lilac grass, Cecile had a bizarre experience. The past flashed before her eyes. In the end, these flashes developed into images beyond description. A vision of inhuman eyes. During her experience, Cecile was faced with the mysteries of dimension and space. She arrived somewhere within the universe, where the laws of time and space transcended anyone's imagination. Afterwards, a pair of inhuman eyes appeared and started following Cecile. Since her illusions can be traced back to reality, it is important to take into account the fact that something appears in the illusion may have practical meaning. Either way, we need to find out where this incense came from. No matter how miraculous and strange her encounters are, there is always an environmental basis for their existence. Mountains, grasslands, she sees actual biomes, so at least there's some twisted logic to it. The lilac grass incense effects are now more obvious than before. I've always wanted to identify the history of the incense, but the clinical symptoms were a mystery to me, and there was only a limited amount of information available. However, the situation has changed drastically. As for information, the strange guy who keeps delivering books has also kindly prepared some for me. Whatever his ulterior motive is, this is proof that the books have real value. It should be possible to find some records related to the things Cecile described. Although ancient techniques may have changed throughout the years, their functionality and purpose haven't. First, we should find out what this incense is all about. Oh, origins. Okay. How do we select? There we go. Vision. We found a book, right? No. Wait. Traditional art of looking into the void. Mention of a powder that Taoist priests use to move their soul through time. Vision of inhuman eyes. Maybe this one, unforgettable experience. No. Relevant proof. Confirming the incense origin requires relevant proof. Theories and evidence are key in this case. I need to discover the true nature of the incense. At least I've already figured out the true nature of the hallucination caused by it. It's pretty clear that the hallucinations reflect real events somehow. Okay, so then we get rid of... Oh, no. Is it this one? What do you... Oh, there we go. This one, maybe. Mysteries of heaven and earth. The mysteries of time must not be regarded. If you see them, the silkworm will see you in turn, and it will be merciless. What? Okay. The main effect of lilac grass is that it causes hallucinations. Most of the people using it want that to happen. Therefore, when Skillman describes this incense, their main focus is the hallucinations. I don't know. None of these other things seem relevant. So we already know that it's... Okay, the origins. Like it said to us twice. We already know that it makes people hallucinate, and it makes them hallucinate the past. That they have no, like, connection to. Like, not their own past, but someone else's past. So we know that. This is just about interpersonal relationships between Cecile and Eloise. This is also about interpersonal relationships between Cecile and Eloise. This is about a particular thing that happened via hallucination. This is about the past. I don't get it. I don't know. See, because ancient prescriptions. In this book, which all sorts of strange prescriptions from ancient and modern times have been recorded, there is a chapter called Spirit Fragmentation. There is mention of a powder that Taoist priests used to move their soul through time. It has been recorded that travelers passed on this has to be over the years. That one definitely has to be involved, because it said that the books and the origin are what we're looking for, right? Origin. That tells us about the origin. The inhuman eyes is what I selected because it seems like that's relevant, but maybe we go with this book. Biography of the rise and fall of the Crane Temple. This temple has flourished through the traditional art of looking into the void. Until a monster called the Scaly Silkworm nearly destroyed everything in a failed ceremony. The mysteries of heaven and earth and the mysteries of time must not be regarded. If you see them, the silkworms will see you in turn, and it will be merciless. So, that makes sense. But then, I mean, in the end, these flashes developed into images beyond description? Maybe? I failed. I don't know what it was supposed to be. It was a really close call. We should have paid better attention. What do you mean? Okay. I'm gonna be petty. I'm gonna Google that. Conclusion, her visions reflect the past. An unforgettable experience. Ancient prescription. That doesn't make sense. Why would it keep saying, Okay, don't talk about... Okay, so it said this one saw something that actually happened in her vision. And then this one, which we knew. And then this one. So I got 2 out of 3. But this one doesn't... I chose... It's just the same thing, though. Like, the past... That implies that it's something that actually happened. The past isn't fantasy. Anyways. Said about my own failure. What are we missing? There has to be a way to fight this. This is driving me crazy. We're on the right path, but how do we overcome the obstacles in our way? A sudden knock on the door interrupts my string of thought. It wasn't really going anywhere anyway. At last, help is here. The door opens without me having invited anyone in yet. Hello there, is this the Ritz? Scarlet hastily steps inside. She sounds exhausted. These last 2 days must have done quite a number on her. Snooping around day and night doing investigative work, and now, on top of all of that, running errands for me. And also her job. What made you think it'd be okay to harbor someone who needs treatment here? The secondhand smoke alone is enough to kill anything that's still breathing. It's cute how much you care about my health. Did you bring it? Scarlet smiles and hands Cecile a plastic bag. Cecile's eyes wander over to mine. She looks confused. I wave a hand at her, indicating that it's alright. This should be just what she needs. This is questionable. Oh, okay. It's not something weird. Maybe not. Wet these patches with hot water and place them on her temples. Remove them regularly and wipe off any residue. Wait a little bit before putting on a new patch every time you change them. Put them on for about 30 seconds, then wait for about 10 seconds before putting on the next one. So, I'm doing this? Cecile seems a little overwhelmed by the instructions. Honestly, I think Scarlet's just playing professional doctor to gain Cecile's trust. Better to do what she says. It was hard enough getting her here. She can be quite... A sharp elbow to the ribs quickly reminds me to choose better timing for my cheeky comments when I'm around Scarlet. So, Cecile, was it? Give your classmate some of the medicine. Meanwhile, this guy and I have some things to discuss outside. Oh, right. Feel free to use the water kettle over there. Okay, thank you. Cecile bows in Scarlet's direction, and then runs off to the bathroom, kettle in hand. She's a really polite kid. Scarlet whispers behind Cecile's back. More polite than a certain someone, at the very least. Don't you dare. I only used about 20% of my power with that last elbow. What's the deal with the air conditioning? You haven't been here that long, have you? Are you using this place as a trap to suffocate people or something? I don't pay the utility bills anyway, so fine. We can turn it on. Oh. At least while the girls are here. I shrug and follow Scarlet out of the